All right. It is my pleasure to introduce past RI President Richard D. King. Now, obviously to be a past RI president, he had to be out there at one time to be a president-elect. He did that. He was president. He's on the Rotary Club of Niles, Fremont. He's been a district governor. He was an RI training leader. He was a Rotary Foundation trustee. He's been an RI director and a past RI president. President 2001, 2002, about right? That was a year he had two major goals. That was membership growth and foundation giving. We had record giving for Rotary Foundation that year. We set our all-time record for net membership growth of 75,000 new members net. And that was a new Rotary Club every 8 hours during that year. All right. He's a successful attorney. He's a professional singer. When I used to come to Pets in the very beginning, Jack Forrest, past RI director, would introduce people, and Jack would say, I have known so-and-so, he's my good friend for 20 years. And I'd think to myself, gosh, 20 years he's known somebody in Rotary. Only people I've known 20 years, I was either related to them or they were a childhood friend. I thought, would I ever be able to get to do that? So, okay, I get to introduce Richard D. King. I think back, when did I meet Rick? The last century. 1991. He spoke at a district conference in Corpus Christi, and I was there. You know, okay, he's a successful attorney. He has a beautiful wife. He's got a great singing voice. He's on all these boards. You know, there's just some people that, he's from California. There's just some people that have too much talent. I knew I didn't like him. But I listened to that speech, and it was probably, I have a pretty high bar on what impresses me, and that was a good speech. And I thought to myself, you know, I need to make friends with him. Someday I might need to use him. Plus, he's got a beautiful wife. So, sure enough, 5 years later, I'm district governor. You know, you want your district conference to be great. So I call my good old buddy Rick to say, you know, won't you come to my conference and be a speaker? Well, he agrees. So then I added in, we're going to have a talent show on Friday night. I'd like you to sing. Well, he said, yes, I will, but I have conditions. Oh, God, he had a whole list of conditions. I have to pay to bring his accompanist. He does not sing a cappella. He does not sing outdoors. He doesn't sing anywhere near a surf. Well, I couldn't afford the union wages, etc., so I said, no, we're just going to take the speech. Friday night, we are at the conference. It's talent show night. It's outdoors. It's on the beach. I'm on the stage. I look out there, and there's Rick and his wife, Sherry, and my wife, Anita. They're at the table on the sand. And I said, you know, the next performance we're going to hear is Rick King singing Bally High. Well, I couldn't hear him because of the crashing surf, but I could see his lips move, and I could read those, and he was saying, I do not sing a cappella. I do not sing outdoors. I do not sing without my accompanist. I no sing. And so I announced again, Rick King will now sing Bally High. Again, I can see those lips moving. The waves are crashing. I can't hear him, but it's, I don't sing a cappella. I don't sing outdoors. And I'm pretty sure he said, I don't sing on the beach. At least it looked like beach through those words. I tried it one more time. He's shaking his head, and all of a sudden there was a leg kick. He let out a little noise. Sherry had nailed him under that table. He limped up to the stage, and you did well. We got 3 songs out of him that night. So I've been using him for at least 25 years, and it's worked out well. You know, I think you're in for a treat. I think he is the best speaker in Rotary. So just relax and sit back and enjoy it and make friends with him later. And let's give a big Texas, Oklahoma welcome to Richard D. King, past president.
Thank you very much. Actually, I did sing outdoors. I did sing a cappella. For 51 and a half years, I was a very shy, quiet, humble, innocent, sweet, lovable trial lawyer down in the Silicon Valley. And every morning at 9 o'clock, my partners and I would stand outside our office door and we would sing, concave, convex, we sue either sex. And there's 16 verses. Well, I want to congratulate you. I see that you missed the meeting that they picked next year's club president, and here you are. And I know this has come as a shock to you that your current club president was actually trained at this thing last year. I'm honored to be here with 3 great international directors. Andy Smallwood, I appreciate his introduction. And one of the great benefits of Rotary membership is friendship. And Randy and I have been friends for a long time, as I have with Don Mebus and Mike Pinson, past international directors who are advisor to this PETS. This has become one of the premier PETS, if not the greatest PETS in the United States of America. Thanks in large measure to the work of an outstanding international Rotary leader. And all of us in Rotary International are grateful for his life, his service, and his commitment. And I'm talking, of course, about Al Heathcock. Al, thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Well, we got a lot of brass at these things. We have district governors and governors-elect and governor's nominee, and district governor's nominee designate, and assistant governors, area governors, lieutenant governors, past district governors, and all of the rest of you. If you miss the meeting, you'll be a district governor too. The district governor's job is not an easy job. She's got to go to every club luncheon. That's a lot of lousy meals, wonderful club meetings all over the district. And among other things, the governor is responsible for printing a monthly newsletter. Most of these are done now electronically, but I still get paper newsletters that I read in my sauna bath in Silicon Valley. I go in there at midnight. My wife has gone to bed. My dogs are waiting outside the door. And I sit there stark naked reading the Rotary Manual of Procedure. And I read governors' newsletters that come to me from all over the world. And not long ago, I got one from a district up in the border of British Columbia and Washington State, the Peace Arch Journal, District 5050. And I was intrigued with this newsletter because the cover article said, in praise of past district governors. And I thought, well, isn't that nice? Past district governors aren't often praised. Most of the time well, anyway, that's another story. So I thought I'd read this stark naked in my sauna at midnight. I learned that there wasn't an ounce of truth or accuracy in this article. But here's a picture of the guy who wrote the article. He'd been in Rotary 6 months. And I was about to write him a letter telling him he got it all wrong when somebody told me he was a federal judge. So I did write him a letter telling him what a great article it was. Because in my business, it pays to be nice to federal judges. And in tribute to all of the governors who are here tonight, I love the invocation that Bill gave, Governor-elect. I'm always concerned when somebody gets up and prays, thank you for getting us through this day, before I get up to speak. Anyway, here's this guy's article. Now remember, he's only been in Rotary 6 months. Incidentally, there's a club president here tonight. His name is Esteban, Governor President-elect. He's been in Rotary 3 months. Esteban, you obviously missed the meeting, but we're glad to have you here. Three months, and he's president of the club. I tell you, he looked smarter than that to me when I met him. Anyway, here's this article in praise of past district governors. Now remember, 6 months membership. Rotary International has more than 1 million members worldwide. It is estimated, though not confirmed, that there are approximately 900,000 past district governors all over the place. Why is this, he asks. The usual member of a club, a usual Rotarian, like other individuals in society, dies when his or her time comes. Not so with PDGs, who simply do not die, which accounts for the relatively large percentage of them with respect to the total membership. How are the district governors chosen, you may ask? And I know a couple of you have already asked me how in the world your governor-elect got selected next year. Well, that's another speech, anyway. The actual selection process was and is mysterious, and no one seems to know for sure where these people come from. The research in this all-important area is continuing, but based on the profile of the 953 PDGs in our district, he's off by 943. But remember, a federal judge, close enough for government work. One can assume the following. First, you must be a Rotarian of at least 35 years and have perfect attendance during those 35 years. Second, you must have a personally autographed picture of Paul Harris hanging over your mantle. Third, you must have a terrific sense of humor. Fourth, everything in your house and business must have a Rotary logo on it, even your pajamas. Sherry and I have a Rotary wheel in the ceiling above the bed where we sleep every night. And every 2 or 3 hours it lights up and it sings my theme song. Sing out a song of Rotary, we're in the business of mankind. We sleep with a wolf hybrid and an Alaskan Malamute. That's not another Rotarian, that's a big hairy dog. The wolf puts her paws over her ears, and the Malamute goes, "Ow!" True Rotarians. Fifth, your spouse must want to follow you to the ends of the earth, even to the district conference. Six, you must be able to make the same lousy speech 122 times without ever getting it right. 7, you must be able to eat rubber chicken every meal for a year. I think that's what we had for lunch. And I think that's what I had for dinner. But I like chicken, it's okay. And 8, you must have retired after selling out your business for $20 million or gone bankrupt like the rest of us. The job of district governor, he writes, is not easy, of course. There is considerable hardship incurred with the job. For example, the average weight gain of the district governor during their year, what with constant banqueting and excessive drinking, is roughly 28 pounds, and even more for the spouses. Sociologists and geriatric consultants to Rotary International have concluded that the spouses have particular trouble because they've got to listen to the same lousy speech 122 times and often engage in compensatory eating. I once knew a district governor's wife who gained 5 pounds each week for a year. Now, if she just avoids various foundation dinners, district conferences, and the like, she can keep her weight normal. And then he gets very serious. None of this answers the question, however, why past district governors are so venerated, so respected, so loved, admired. Again, I'm not certain, but I think there is something just so lovable about a PDG sitting at a specially reserved table, mumbling the four-way test as his face slowly lowers into the P's. Kind of gets you right there, doesn't it? Well, I can tell you there is something to that weight problem. Before I became a district governor, years and years ago down in Silicon Valley, I used to be skinny, or at least skinnier. My wife was a famous dancer in Hollywood and Las Vegas. I was singing 3 shows a night in Las Vegas, and I saw her cross the stage one day in her costume. And I thought to myself, there goes a girl who really ought to be married to a Rotarian. So I took her away from that dull Hollywood life so she could follow me around the world listening to my speeches. She told me she'd be here tonight because she's already heard this one 1,000 times. She's physically fit. And I'm standing in the shower one morning toward the end of my year, having enjoyed every banquet that I could, and I'm standing there dripping wet with a towel around me that wouldn't reach. And I could tell by the look on her face we were going to have a conversation I wasn't going to enjoy. We did, and I didn't. A lot of people think I've made this story up, but it's absolutely true, every word of it. This is exactly how it happened. She went over to Woolworths. In those days, we had Woolworths. And she bought a little trampoline for $29.95. You don't get a big trampoline for $29.95. It's about a third the size of that round table. And she stuck it up in the corner of our bedroom underneath the rotary wheel in the ceiling. And it looked like a little spaceship from Mars. And I said, Sherry, what do you do with that? She said, you jump up and down on it every morning and you'll get fit. I couldn't think of anything I'd rather less do. But I thought, what the heck, I love my wife, I'll jump. Because I'm not as dumb as I look, I'll tell you that. So I began jumping up and down on this trampoline every morning. And I discovered on the 3rd day, they've got great reruns of Leave It to Beaver. And on the 3rd day, I got so engrossed in the plot that I came down on the edge of the trampoline instead of in the middle, and I broke my leg. And I was so happy this happened after only 3 days. And I could throw that trampoline away. And of course, I had to wear a cast. When you break your leg, you got to wear a cast. And I got get-well cards from Rotary Club presidents just like you, who loved and respected and admired me, their district governor. And one that summarizes their get-well feelings I've saved all these years. The president of the Rotary Club took his time out of his very busy presidential year to write me a personal get-well message. Dear Governor Rick, we'd like you to know that the Rotary Club of San Lorenzo, California, by a vote of 17 to 15, hopes you recover. And then there was a touching PS on here. We were going to send you flowers, but that lost 5 to 27. The job of the Rotary Club president is the most important job in Rotary. Because if it isn't done in the club, it isn't done. The president of Rotary International, your president, who you will meet tomorrow night, a great man from Chattanooga, Tennessee, can give all the speeches and motivational inspiration he wants. The board of directors can do the same. Your district governor can do the same. But the fact of the matter is that the work of Rotary is done in the Rotary Club. And the Rotary Club president has the job, in one sentence, of changing his or her club from what it is to what it ought to be. I've come across many definitions of leadership over the years, and this is the one I think is the best I've ever come across. Leadership is influence. A leader influences somebody to do something else. Leaders influence people to change. Leaders move the bottom line. You can have all the great club meetings, you can tell jokes, you can have organization charts all over the place, you can set goals, you can have committee meetings, you can do all of these things. But if you haven't moved the bottom line at the end of your year, there's been a failure in leadership. And this is the job of the Rotary Club president. After all, you are Rotary's expert next year in all of Rotary aspects. You are our expert next year in membership recruitment, membership orientation, membership assimilation, membership retention, membership extension, vocational service, international service, club service, community service, youth service, club bulletins, club meetings, club public relations, club attendance, club finances, club fundraising, club social activities, the club assembly, club programs, club projects. There's no sense waving your handkerchief if you're going to stay. You are the expert at getting members to attend the district conference, the district assembly. You are the expert in the Rotary Foundation, Paul Harris Fellows, Paul Harris Sustaining Members, the Benefactors Program, major donors, group study exchange, youth exchange, friendship exchange, district grants, community grants, global grants, Polio Plus, Interact, Youth Act, Early Act, Rotaract, RILA, Rotary Village Corps, pilot programs, the Peace Forums, disaster relief, World Community Service, Foundation Scholars, wheelchairs, Future Vision, the strategic plan, substance abuse, not yours. And on the seventh day, you can rest. The reason we closed the door is because we don't want anybody resigning on the spot. I'm a California Golden Bear. I spent 7.5 years at the University of California at Berkeley, and anybody who's a true blue Golden Bear hates the Stanford Cardinal. That's our rival across the bay. So I don't normally pay any attention to anything that comes out of Stanford. But a number of years ago, I read a speech by a former president of the United States, long affiliated with Stanford, by the name of Herbert Hoover. He made some profound remarks, and I want to quote to you Herbert Hoover's comments. Among the delusions offered us by fuzzy-minded people is that imaginary creature, the common man. It is dinned into us that this is the century of the common man. The uncommon man is to be whittled down to size. It is a negation of individual dignity and a slogan of mediocrity and uniformity. The greatest strides of human progress have come from uncommon men and uncommon women. The humor of it is that when we get sick, we want an uncommon doctor. If we have to go to war, he said, we yearn for an uncommon general or admiral. We could add that if we have a child in school, we seek that uncommon teacher who creates in our child its greatest inspiration and motivation to its potential. When running a business, we want an uncommon salesman. When looking for leadership in anywhere of life, we look for the uncommon engineer, the uncommon manager, the uncommon salesperson, the uncommon. And more than ever before in all of our history, Rotary seeks the uncommon Rotary Club president, because the work of Rotary is done in the Rotary Club. And your job next year is to provide that leadership. You're leading leaders. And the payback will be, I promise you, that if you do it right, you'll get an education in human relations skills, public speaking skills, organization skills, leadership skills, business skills that you couldn't get at any university or college, anywhere in the country, at any time, at any price. Rotary pays back those who commit themselves to uncommon leadership. And I ask you to do that this coming year. Your chance to be the most important in Rotary. It requires, in my judgment, 3 characteristics to be an uncommon Rotary Club president. First, conviction, what you know about Rotary. Second, vision, what you see for your club membership next year. And third, commitment, what you feel about Rotary, because people are motivated more by how they feel than any other aspect of the human endeavor. What do you know about this organization? We already know it's the oldest service club in the world, the most prestigious, the wealthiest, the most powerful. You know what we've done in Polio Plus. We're recognized on the world stage. When I was international president, we visited 43 heads of state, 28 of whom were active in their own Rotary clubs all over the globe. Men and women of every rank, every color, every creed, every language, every politics, every culture, every business, every vocation, every religion, every educational background wear the Rotary wheel. Tonight, Protestants and Catholics meeting together in the same Rotary clubs on the border of Ulster and Ireland, and Hindus and Muslims meeting in the same Rotary clubs on the border of India and Pakistan, and throughout the Middle East, Arabs and Jews meeting together, breaking bread in the same Rotary clubs throughout the Middle East. I had dinner one night with a retired general from the Second World War. He was an old man and had been a Rotarian for many years. And we were discussing Rotary's role in promoting peace in the Middle East and throughout the world. He said something most interesting to me. He said, Rick, in your part of the world, when you want to solve a problem or you want to reach out and do something globally, you come together in the capacity of a Rotary club and you talk about it peacefully and you find a peaceful way to go about helping resolve the problem. In my part of the world, he said, we don't do that. Instead, we kill each other. And then he said this, and until we have more Rotary clubs in the Middle East, we will never have the peace we so desperately seek, because Rotary brings peace. This is the organization. This is the organization which you are called upon to lead next year. 35,000 plus Rotary clubs just like yours in over 200 countries and geographical regions around the globe. And every second of the day, we make the lame to walk, the blind to see, the deaf to hear. We clothe the naked, we feed the hungry, we heal the sick, we save lives, we bring hope, we bring peace. This is the organization to which you and I belong, and the organization which you are called upon as its chief officer in your Rotary Club next year to provide the uncommon leadership we so desperately seek. What you know about Rotary is important. Learn all you can about this powerful imaginary organization that does so much across the globe, all over the world tonight. Second, what's your vision for your Rotary Club next year? You know, the average Rotary Club is made up of very uncommon people. They are usually above average intelligence, above average income, above average education, above average achievement, above average goal setting, above average success, or they wouldn't be in Rotary. And yet somehow we bring these same people who are so successful in their business, professional, and personal lives to the Rotary Club on Tuesdays at noon, and we start talking to them as if they were in the second grade. We set goals that are so low in Rotary development, in the leadership development of our club, in our service programs and projects, in membership development, in district conference participation. We set goals that are so low because we're frightened of these volunteers that if we set those goals that low in our businesses or profession, we would be bankrupt. And sadly, too many Rotary clubs are bankrupt in the Rotary of Service because the club president, the chief officer of the club, doesn't have the vision to see the potential for the Rotarians in that club this coming year. I hope you do. I was on the original polio fundraising committee 25, 30 years ago, and we met in Evanston and we had no idea what we were doing. None of us were professional fundraisers. We had no idea how to raise all kinds of money in 1 year to get going on Polio Plus. So we hired a professional fundraising organization in New York City. And we paid them a lot of money. And they said, if you do what we tell you to do, you will succeed. They said, you've got to set a goal for every Rotary Club in the world, every single one, and ask that club to reach its goal. We did. We got a lot of hate mail. A lot of clubs didn't think we had any business setting a goal for them, but we were doing what this organization told us to do. There was a club in a suburb of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'll never forget it. 30 Rotarians, a small club. They'd been around for 40 years. And for 40 years, they had never managed to raise more in any given year than $1,000 for the Rotary Foundation. So in 40 years, they'd raised $40,000 in 40 years, 4 decades. 30 Rotarians. They always had an excuse. The coal industry was down, the steel industry was down, there was always a recession. They always had a reason why they couldn't raise any more than $1,000 for every year. We asked them to raise $100,000. 2.5 times in 1 year what they'd raised in 40 years, 30 Rotarians. And these same 30 losers, the same 30 Rotarians who'd been coming to this club for 40 years, the same people went out and raised in 8 weeks' time $120,000 cash for the Polio Plus program of Rotary International. What happened? What was the difference? The same club, the same meeting place, the same meals, the same members, the same, but a different club president who saw the vision for the potential, who saw that his members were winners, were successful, goal-oriented people in their personal and private lives. And he said, there's no reason why we can't do this in Rotary service. You see, I'm of the opinion that no matter one's success in business, no matter how much money we make, no matter how many college degrees hang on our wall, no matter how much applause we get from our peers, no success in this life can compensate for failure in the business of humanity, in the business of mankind. This is the most important business any of us will ever engage. That's what Rotary gives to us, the chance to be involved in the most important business that any of us will ever engage, the only business that will outlast us when we leave this life, that we will take with us, the business that counts the most. Now, there's nothing wrong with making a good income. I've made my share, and I've had my share of nice cars and nice suits and nice homes and all these things, and I've got lots of plaques on the wall. There's nothing wrong with those things. Indeed, we all need to do them for our families and for our futures. But the most important business any of us will ever engage is the business of mankind, the business of humanity. Someone once asked Helen Keller, blind, deaf, unable to speak, Miss Keller, can you think of anything worse than being blind? Oh, yes, she said, having sight and no vision. So what is your vision next year? It requires 4 steps. First, what is your numerical goal, your written down numerical goal for how much of a membership increase you're going to have next year? Not something glib like we're going to do better with membership. How many? Second, how many people are you going to get to attend your district conference? How many people are you going to get to the district assembly? How many? After you've set the goal and told your club about the goal, second, what is your business plan to achieve the goal? Every business, in order to be successful, has to have a plan to achieve its goals. In my back of my desk in my law office, we have a chart on the wall. How many people did we sue last month? How many more can we sue this month? Every business, whether you sell shoes or insurance, or you're a dentist or whatever you are, requires a business plan if it's going to succeed. And so does the president's plan for the Rotary Club next year. First, the goal. Second, the plan. Third, you got to work the plan. There's no sense just announcing it and not working it every week at the meeting. And fourth, you've got to recognize those people who do the job, because peer recognition is one of the great applauses, recognitions, thank yous that all of us as volunteers get in Rotary, and it's important that you do that. After conviction, what you know about Rotary, after your vision, what you see for your club next year, then there's the question of commitment. What do you feel? What do you feel about Rotary? I could give you 1,000 stories of men and women I've met in 135 countries all over the world, many, many times over, with a tremendous commitment to the work that we do in Rotary. I remember one tonight. 25 years ago, I was on the board of directors. In those days, on the 18th floor of the president's office in the boardroom, we had our lunch there right on the 18th floor, and I was finishing my lunch one day at the end of a board meeting when an old man, about 90 years of age, came walking in on a cane, being escorted by one of the 600 young staffers who work at Rotary International Headquarters. I was fascinated watching this old man. His face was lined with the ravages of Eastern Europe in the wars of the 20th century. I finished my cake, and I went over and I sat down across from him, and I introduced myself. And I said, "You're getting a tour of the building, aren't you?" His eyes misted over, and he said, "Yes, I am, Rick. All my life I've wanted to come here. I wanted to come to America to see where this idea began." "Where are you from?" "I'm from Prague, then Czechoslovakia." "And you're a Rotarian?" "I hope so." "You hope so? What do you mean you hope so?" "Well, I was once a real Rotarian, Rick. I joined Rotary in the springtime of the century in 1925 when we chartered the Rotary Club of Prague. We wore our pins with pride. We flew the Rotary wheel outside the flag where we met at the hotel where we met every week. And I said to my wife, "Let's save up our money. I want to go to America someday. I want to see where this idea began." But in 1939, the Nazis came to my country, and it was treason to be a Rotarian. Some of the club members were shot. We couldn't wear our pins. We couldn't fly the Rotary flag. We couldn't have a Rotary club anymore. So we disbanded the club. But a few of us said, "Why don't we meet secretly in hiding for a few moments every week or every other week to remember briefly, lest we be caught and killed, that we were Rotarians?" And he said, "Rick, we did that for 6 years. For 6 years we met secretly in hiding." It was a glorious day in 1945 when the Allies came to Prague. And for the second time in my life, I was a real Rotarian. We wore our pins with pride. We flew the Rotary flag outside. And I said to my wife, "Let's save up our money again. I want to go to America someday. I want to see where it began." But 3 years later, in 1948, the communists came to Prague. And once more in my lifetime, it was treason to be a Rotarian. We had to disband the club. We couldn't wear our pins. We couldn't fly the Rotary flag outside the hotel. We couldn't have a club meeting. But a few of us said, "Well, we did it before. Let's do it again. Let's meet secretly." And so we did, Rick. But this time, we did that for 42 years. 42 years in secret. He said, "I knew that I would die before I ever became a Rotarian again. I knew that I would never get to America to see where it all began." But last year, Rick, a miracle happened. The wall came down, and you and Sherry have got to come next May. For the third time in my life, we're going to recharter the Rotary Club of Prague. My wife couldn't make it. She's too sick now. But I had to come. I've waited for this day all my life. My chance to come to America once to see where this idea began. And Rick, once more before I die, I'm going to be a real Rotarian. I looked into his eyes, the war, the lines, the ravaged face of Eastern Europe wars. And I said, my dear friend, you've always been a real Rotarian. I saw him once. He stood a moment there. His eyes met mine and laid my spirit bare. He held my hand and passed beyond my ken. But what I was, I will never be again. Commitment. And what about you? What is your commitment? If you have a great commitment to the work we're doing, to the idea that this is not less than God's work on earth, you will be an uncommon Rotary Club president, and your time will be well spent. May I close with the words of a great predecessor of mine, a quiet theologian from Salt Lake City. He was our international president 4 decades ago. And at our international convention at the south of France in Nice in 1967, Richard L. Evans took the podium and addressed the Rotarians of the world with these inspirational words. It sometimes seems that we live as if we wondered when life was going to begin. It isn't always clear what we're waiting for, but some of us sometimes persist in waiting so long that life slips by, finding us still waiting for something that has been going on all the time. There's no reason to doubt good intentions, but when in the world are we going to begin to live as if we understood that this is it? This is life. This is our time, our day, our generation, our one chance to do something for somebody else. This is the life in which the work of this life is to be done. This is it, whether we are thrilled or disappointed, busy or bored, givers or takers. This is life. It's all we've got, and it's passing. What in the world are we waiting for? I plead with you to use your year to give us uncommon leadership. Move the bottom line in your club. Change it from what it is to what it ought to be. You will be the greatest benefactor of all that you do. Rotary will be grateful to you. Thank you for listening. The second President of the United States summed it up well when John Adams said, "In all the world, there are only 2 kinds of people who ever really count. Those people who make commitments and those people who keep them." You, presidents-elect of Rotary Clubs next year, have made your commitment. Go now and keep it. God bless you.